ahead and get started then. The meeting is now called to order at 1:30 p.m. All right, and we'll do a roll call. There should be at least 7 of the board members here present today, and that means we do have a quorum and we can proceed with our meeting today. Okay, I've asked Sunny to begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, this is Sunny. Hello. Let me see if I can open this up here. Okay, want me to share my screen here? Okay. There we go. Just one more second. I want to make sure we have everything. Okay. All right. This is Sunny. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right, this is Kevin again. Now we'll look at the agenda. I believe all of you have a copy of today's meeting agenda. Is there any additions, changes, or deletions, anything that needs to be corrected for the agenda today? No? This is Sunny. I make a motion to approve. All right. So if you would, if you don't mind, address the president when you raise your hand. Okay. President and all the other members of the board, I make a motion that we approve the agenda. Angela seconded that motion. Okay. And Patty, you're recording all of this? Some people don't have access to the webinar, it looks like. I'm getting people contacting me saying that they can't access. Well, Sunny has made a motion, which has also been seconded by Angela, to approve the agenda and the meeting minutes today. Okay, I have it recorded. All in favor, raise your hands by saying aye. Okay, no opposed? All right, this motion has passed. The next on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes on 3 different meetings: the regular board meeting, which was held on May 9th, the email vote, which was on May 20th, as well as the special board meeting, which was held on July 8th. So all 3 meetings. Mark, question? No, looks like he's texting. Okay, Dave, go ahead. President, I would like to make a motion that we approve the May 9th, 2020 meetings as read. President, okay, very good. And Angela was had seconded that. So we do have a motion on the floor. Okay, we have that recorded. All right. So let's call for a vote. All in favor for passing this meeting or this motion? All in favor? No opposed? Okay, this motion has passed. All right, next. Anyone make a motion on the vote for the email vote as well as the special board meeting? This is Sunny, President and members of the board. I make a motion to approve the special email meeting on May 20th. Okay, anyone second that? Seconded by Steve Jenisic. Okay. Make sure we have that recorded. The motion has specifically been for the email vote that was on May 20th. May 20th, as read. All in favor? Raise your hands by saying aye. Okay. Any opposed? Having heard none, then we will consider this passed. Okay, moving on. The last one, the special board meeting, or the next board meeting. Yes, Sonny, go ahead. President and members of the board, I make a motion that we approve the special board meeting minutes, which was on July 8th, 2020, as read. Anyone second that? Seconded. Okay. Point of question, Mark Johnson. He has a question before we proceed. All right. Mark? No, okay, that's fine. That's fine. No question. I retract my question. I recommend that we approve that one. Yeah, Sonny made the motion to approve it. Oh, okay, okay. And so you didn't have a point of clarification or question, so that's fine. We do have a motion to approve the special board meeting minutes as read that occurred on July 8th, seconded by Dave Dolly. Oh, excuse me, Steve. I'm sorry, Steve. No, it was Dave. Oh, it was Dave. Dave Dolly. Okay, Dave Dolly did second that. Sorry about that, Kevin said. So we do have a motion that has been seconded. Let's call for a vote. All in favor, raise your hands by saying aye. Again, this is for the special board meeting minutes as read. Okay. And any opposed? Having heard none, then we consider this motion passed as well. Okay, this is Kevin. Before we proceed, I forgot to introduce Tom Kober has joined me here as our parliamentarian for today's meeting. So just to clarify that, we do have him available on FaceTime. If we have any questions, we can ask him for clarification on meeting proceedings. So let's see. Treasurer's report, that's next on the agenda. This is Sonny. I'll be happy to share a report. Yes. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. April, May, and June has not been approved or audited, but I will show you what the current balance looks like. At the next meeting, this will be audited, and we'll re-examine this information at the next board meeting for full approval. But just to give you an idea where we're at, this is what we have so far. Okay. So April, the balance total, both for savings and checkings, was about $76,092.82. And the breakdown looks like it does below for liabilities. You go all the way down. Any questions regarding with April's liabilities or expenditures? All right, well then I'll cover May's, the following month. This is May's total in checking and savings, $74,888.48. The breakdown for those months' liabilities and expenditures are as follows. Any questions regarding the expenditures for May? Okay. The last month, or the next month, I should say, is June. And that looks like this. June's balance for checking balance, $74,398.17 altogether. And the liabilities or expenditures are as follows. You will also notice that CSD SDAD outreach program is no longer there as it was because the board meeting said that that fund would go back to the general fund. So that's no longer a line item. So that's the reason why it's no longer there. Any questions about anything else? Okay, if not, Kevin is saying for board members, do we have any questions? Okay, having heard none, we would like to thank Sonny for his report. Next is public comments. Any of the members would like to interject? If so, please type your comments in the chat. Or if you would like to have video access to make your comments, let us know that and we'll try to make arrangements for that. Just let us know. Okay, it looks as if there may not be any public comment, either by chat or video. Sunny, are you getting any response from anyone? No? Okay, it does not look like there's any comments, so we'll close that part of the agenda, so thank you. Next, we'll have the officers' report, and we only have one, I believe, and that's the president's report. Okay. So first we have the Sioux Falls City Council meeting. And they had a discussion regarding interpreters on site at every council city meeting. And secondly, the addition of captioning, live captions on TV. Let me go back to the first one, or say that the captioning started, I believe, just recently. If you have not seen, Mark is saying that I do have an issue. I found out that on channel 16, which is Midco's cable channel, on channel 16, that does not seem to be captioned at all. But if I go back to channel, I believe it's 162 or maybe 163, something like that. There is another city web channel, and that one is in fact captioned, but it's not on the local one on channel 16. So I'm not sure. I mean, I had to actually search to find the one that was captioned. And I also noticed that it's usually about 3 weeks late that they finally air the captioned version of it. It's about 3 weeks late. So by that time, a lot of the information is kind of old news. What we'd like to do is make sure that it's current. Like channel 16, for example, they have the current meeting, but that's not captioned. And so I have to check every week to see when that particular meeting is captioned. And usually it's 3 weeks later. Like in July, they have it, but it's for an older meeting. It's not current, is my point. You usually have to wait, a good 3 weeks before you see it aired with captions on a different channel. So I guess my thoughts on that are, I don't want to make too many waves because it looks like they're trying to accommodate, and they are actually captioning things, but I don't know if their system is as updated as it could be, or if it's working right, or that kind of thing. So I just wanted to let you know that's what I've observed in my experience. It's usually a different channel where if you look for it, you can find it captioned, but it's much older information by that time. And then when you look at the county commission in their meetings, that's the same thing. Sometimes that's even 2 months late before you finally find a captioned version that's aired. And the city council doesn't seem to do anything from what I've seen. Patty, would you like to respond to that? Yeah, Mark, I don't know if you have basic channels on basic cable or something, but I've always been able to watch captioning, and it's on channel 594. I have a different maybe a different cable package, but it is live. It does seem to be live, and I've been able to watch everything current there. I don't know about the county meetings, but I'm specifically talking about the city meetings. And so just to let you know, if you look on 594, if you have a regular cable package, you should be able to find that. Mark is saying, last week I looked at 594 and they said it was the July 3rd meeting. And that was, just last week, which is, again, a couple of weeks late. July 3rd wasn't current. And I looked for the current meeting that was actually taking place, and that was not captioned. So that's been my experience. This is Kevin. We can talk about that more offline, but I do appreciate that feedback. What about on-site interpreting? Let's talk about that. They felt that they would not be able to provide something like that at every council meeting, but what we need to do is make a request, if we can, at least 48 hours in advance, if we want to ask for an interpreter, which is pretty much their common policy that they've had in the past. I'm opposed to that, so I'm still working on it to see what they can do. I'd like to find out, who they currently contract with. The interpreting agency's policy may require a 48 in advance notice. So we have to talk with the agency. I'm not sure if that's the case, but I'm assuming that might be the case. I'm still working on it. We're not giving up on it. So that's where we're at with that issue. So now the CSD Summer Youth Camp, let's talk about that. They were planning to do that August 10th through the 12th, but they've decided to cancel it for this year. They were going to do it at the Joy Ranch, and they had their own board, and they're not permitting anyone to rent their facilities. So CSD said that maybe what they'll do is look at maybe October. And if that is in fact the case, they will let us know that they will find a new site and a new date. But if not, at the very least, maybe they could do something in a virtual sense, but they haven't even made that decision yet. So what was being planned in August is no longer the plan at this point. So just to let you know that. SDSD's Advisory Council, Kim Wadsworth is now the new superintendent of the South Dakota School for the Deaf, and she sent me an invitation, and we're thrilled to serve on this advisory council. And so I will represent SDAD as the president. And so I don't know who else has been invited to be a part of that advisory council, but I will keep you informed, and we'll let you know what that membership composition looks like. SDSD's all-class reunion, the chairperson has been selected. There's 2 co-chairs. We had them in the past selected, but they have both resigned. So now we're looking at either 2 new ones or someone to take that position. It means it will not be a part of the SDAD convention at the same time. So they're going to do their event at a different time, but we're still looking for someone to take the lead on that, and we'll keep you informed as to who that will be once we find a new chairperson or chairpersons. The ADA 30th anniversary, that started yesterday, and I was on a panel that took place, and there were some questions and answers, and it was a nice panel, a good group, and they talked about a lot of different things. And there was about 100 participants in this webinar yesterday, about 100 of them, and all that was very good. The different activities are also taking place throughout this weekend. In fact, today, I believe they have a Oh My Cupcake event from 8 to 6 p.m., 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So if you want to participate in that and support the 30th celebration, that's fine. Certainly feel free to do that. Tomorrow, there are 2 additional activities. There is from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's something called the Obscure Brewing Company, where they're making beer called the Accessible Ale. Special beer for this celebration, available only tomorrow from 1 to 8. And then after 8 in the evening, they're going to do the Dream of the Ark is going to be lit up. And I don't know exactly what color it's going to be, but they're going to light that up special for the ADA tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. And feel free to watch that or attend that event. August 7th, they're going to have booths plus a block party. And so that's something you can look forward to. And that's part of all of these things are part of the ADA 30th celebration. And then the governor had announced a proclamation for tomorrow, which is the 26th, to recognize Sunday as ADA Day. So those are what we have scheduled for that event. 6 other things. A suggestion box had come in from 2 members. And we do appreciate the fact that the members want to share ideas and feedback. And so we'll be doing that. We'll set up a suggestion box for members. If you have ideas on anything, we'll be able to share that with you. And then we can all think about the 2 suggestion boxes, the 2 that suggested that Teresa Nold suggested that we use clear masks or make clear masks available. She saw this being used in Arizona for the Arizona Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. And they have some grant money that they had to apply for, and they were able to get it for some deaf individuals. And for hospitals, if they need specific kinds of PPE, then they have clear face masks that you can actually see. And so that's something that someone suggested. Should we maybe see if there's a state grant that can make something like that available here? Some people said, well, why don't SDAD members, as part of PERC, get SDAD clear masks provided by SDAD? And that was a different idea. But, these are some things we can start to digest and think about and talk about. The other suggestion, or another one, came in from Callista Klein, and she had suggested on tablets for, say, police or ambulance, firemen, first responders, those kinds of individuals. Typically, you won't find an interpreter immediately available, but have VRI available on a tablet until an actual live interpreter can be, because usually that takes, at the very least, maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And then in the Black Hills, you're talking about quite a distance, and there are some deaf people that live spread out in that region. So maybe we should pursue a grant to cover, some tablet opportunities for interpreting services, and that's something to think about. Oh, did you have a question, Patty? Well, I'm not sure if we need to make a motion to refer this to the technology committee to maybe consider. Can I make a motion to do that? Yes, go ahead. All right, President, I would like to make a motion that we look at, oh, wait, Patty. You have to address the president. Yes, I'm sorry. President, I was bad at that. I forgot to do that. Mr. President and members of the board, I would like to make a motion that we look at potentially creating a grant or getting a grant for police officers and firemen and so forth, first responders, to consider these kinds of things and refer this to the IT or the technology committee. Okay, seconded by Dave. All right. Oh, question for point of clarification or question? Yes, Mr. President, this is Mark Johnson. I'd like to amend that. I don't know if this kind of changes things extensively, but Mr. President and members of the board, when someone types, it kind of blocks your face on my screen. And so every time I do it, that happens, it's a distraction. So I'd like to make an amendment that we look into, well, how do I say this? How do I word it? I'd like to amend the motion that say we look into making this become a statewide program for iPads and for access for all emergency responders and all of those kinds of personnel. Okay, this is Kevin. So another one. Well, this is only to request moving the screen so that signing is clear. Yeah, Mark Johnson, is that what are you saying that, just for clarification, did you say first that we should move the screen down? Yeah. Oh, I can move my screen down if that's what you mean. Yes. How do I move my screen down? I'm not sure. Well, just sit further back. Maybe that'll help so we can see what you're signing. Oh, I see what you mean. You can't see me signing on the screen. Yeah, is that better for you, Angela? Yeah, that's much better. Okay. Do you want me to repeat what I said then earlier, Mark is saying? My amendment? Okay, yes. Mark is asking to, well, first of all, this is Kevin. Someone has to second the amendment. I think this is David. I amended it, or I seconded the amendment. Someone seconded the amendment, or someone seconded the original motion? Yeah, or the motion dies if it's not seconded. Let's go back to the main motion that Patty had suggested. And Patty was suggesting, Patty, do you want to repeat your original motion? You mean from what Mark said? Oh, you mean, well, I said, Patty is saying, I made the motion that we, SDAD, look into some type of grant of some type and refer further discussion to the technology committee. Okay, so that was her motion, that we look into maybe a potential grant and just refer all of this over to the technology committee. That was seconded by Dave Dolly. And any further discussion? Not from me, Patty said. I think there was an issue regarding communication access. I mean, that's perfect for the technology committee to address. That's their focus, is to work on those things, to look into those things. So if there's maybe something at the Department of Human Services to see if there's maybe a potential grant from the TRS fund or something that could be made available, we should pursue that. Dave, did you have any further discussion? No, no. Any other board members? Any further discussion on this particular motion that's on the floor? Mark Johnson is raising his hand. Yes, Mr. President and members of the board. Patty made the motion that we refer all of this to the technology committee, which means that's it, right? We have no need to further discuss this. Is that correct? Yes, that's correct, because we're just referring everything to the technology committee, which means we don't have any further discussion. Just make the referral to them and let them take, unless I'm wrong. Is that right? Yes, Mark, you are correct. Once this is voted on and passed, then that is correct. Let's go ahead and call for the vote. Kevin is saying, all in favor, raise your hands by saying aye. Any opposed? There are no opposition, so this motion is considered passed. Okay, this is Kevin. All right, let's move on to the NAD. At the NAD conference, they canceled that earlier this summer, but they do intend to have virtual meetings. The first one being October 1st through the 4th. And so there are 4 areas that they want to address. The COR meeting will have their meeting for delegates only. So that will take place. There's also the bylaws amendments that they will consider or will discuss. Then there are election discussions for new officers and new board members. And then finally, they'll have everything for the NAD membership so that they'll have an opportunity to bring up issues or discuss issues. But all of that will take place October 1st through the 4th, again, through a virtual format. Okay. There are deadlines if you'd like to submit, discussion topics and so forth, and that is, I believe, next week. The core meeting, COR meeting, you have to hand in resolutions no later than August 1st. Submitting priorities for 2020 to 2022 must be submitted by August 1st. Bylaw amendments or changes could be submitted also by August 1st, deadline. And the elections, if you actually want to run for one of the officer positions, your nomination needs to be in by August 15th. So those are deadlines, and that's where we're at right now. Question from Patty. Yes. Mr. President, I'm curious, and I don't know, maybe Angela can answer this, but for NAD members, are we supposed to get a link for the general membership so that we can, have or participate in some of those discussions? That's a good question. Angela, do you know the answer to that? This is Angela. We're still in discussions about exactly what that's going to look like from the president's perspective and also from the members' perspective, and also what platform we're going to use. We're looking at Zoom and several others for bigger meetings with some of the breakouts and some of the webinars. We're looking at different formats for those. And so links will be coming once those determinations or decisions are made. And we'll have to verify whether or not people are members, and then they'll be invited to participate. And will they be invited for everything or just certain websites, or I mean webinars and breakouts? We haven't quite figured all of those logistics out yet, but we do have a process and we are working through that process. And we certainly want NAD members to participate and be a part of this whole process. We'll try to, let information come out as quickly as we can once it's released publicly, once those decisions are made. And the next step is, just to figure out all of these logistics. We're focusing on NCIL, that conference as well. And so we have to put some things with the NAD on hold. And when NCIL is done, we'll go back to the NAD and focus on that big event as well. Kevin says, okay, very good. Thank you for that update. The last thing I wanted to talk about in terms of my report is we do have 2 vacant board positions appointments. Callista Klein as vice president and Jeff Panic as board member at large are now available. And those are action items. Oh yes, Sonny, do you have a question? Yes, Mr. President. This is Sonny. Callista as vice president and Jeff as at-large member. Just want to make sure that anyone seconded that. Yes, Steve, to acknowledge those vacancies. Okay. Steve, go ahead. Did you have anything else to add? No? Okay. Any further discussion? Yeah. Yeah, I think you should just go ahead and make a presidential appointment to fill those vacancies. Sonny said, okay. Any further discussion on that? All right. Any further discussion from the membership? Okay, it looks like Stan has submitted something. Can you pull Stan up as on video? Okay, looks like we're pulling Stan up. Go ahead and click begin video or join by video on the very bottom left hand. Just click the video icon, because right now you're not coming up. Angela says, just to let you know, Teresa has also wanted to make a comment. Oh, I see. So we have 2 comments from general membership. Does Teresa want to join by video, or, well, first we have to let Stan address his question. He's having a difficulty with his video. You have to click the video icon. Are you using an iPad? Okay. Can you request to open video? Yeah, I've done that, Sonny said. Yeah, we can see your square, but we don't see you on video. It doesn't look like, it's kind of like muted. Oh, here we go. Very good. Now you're on. Now you're on. We can see you. Very good. Okay. All right. You can all see me all right? Yes, yes. Well, I would like to mention that I would like to, go ahead with what Sonny said. Jeff and Callista Klein. Yeah, I'd like to have them. I don't know if you can actually see me. Yes, we do see you. Yes, we got your message. And so, yes, thank you very much. Yes, we do see your, yeah, you're on an iPad, so we understand that there's some limitations with it. Stan? Okay. All right. Well, he's still on video. He can go ahead and close now that he's made his comments. Teresa, would you like to join by video now? Okay, very good. Stan is no longer on video, which is fine. Okay, now we have Teresa joining. Yeah, all you got to do is click the video on your bottom left hand. Here we go. Very good, very good. All right. Hello, Mr. President. This is Teresa and the rest of the board and members. I approve what you've recommended, but one of the concerns that I hope we can improve with, and this is specifically is with Jeff and his attitude. We hope that it will be a better attitude with everyone involved as compared to what we experienced in the past. I just want to make sure that we're going to be working together and not against each other, okay? Thank you for that comment, Kevin said. Yes, thank you. Let's go ahead and close Teresa by video. Okay, so to fill those vacancies, do we have any other comments? Any other nominations? Any? Okay, having heard none, then Kevin is saying, let's go ahead and close the discussion and we'll call for a vote. Sunny's made a recommendation that we just go ahead and approve or continue with Callista. Callista Klein to fill the vice president's role and Jeff Panek to fill the board member at large role. Okay, all in favor, it looks like, no opposed. That motion has been carried and passed. And that's all we have for vacant positions. And on my report, any other comments or reports from any of the other board members? Yeah, any other reports from any of the other officers or board members? Patty is raising her hand. Yes, go ahead, Patty. Mr. President, I don't have anything related to SDAD, but I do have a comment that I participated in the NCIL, the National Council for Independent Living. They had a virtual conference that was amazing and a wonderful experience, very enjoyable. Took place earlier this week. They had a lot of different workshops and Angela did a wonderful job in coordinating all of that to make that possible. So I'd like to recognize her and to give her waving hands support. All right. Any other board comment, Kevin is saying, from anyone? If not, let's go ahead and move along on the agenda. We have some additional reports from the Deaf Culture and Heritage Committee. Do you have any questions on the report that was submitted? Angela saying, I'm just looking through it. I have my hand raised. Yes, go ahead, Angela. Question. Yes, Mr. President and members of the board. I do have a question about the number 3. They said they're still waiting for a decision to be made by SDAD regarding the software that they should be using. Should we go ahead and make a motion to approve that now, or should we do that later? Because I think I saw that on the agenda regarding that issue. Yes, we do have an issue on the agenda. It's a software. Oh, that's under the finance committee's report. We can wait until we address the finance committee before we address that, and then you can make your motion. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was supposed to make it now or then. Let's go ahead and do it then. Any other questions about this particular report? If not, are there any questions from the membership regarding the Cultural Heritage Report? Having heard none, then we'll move on to the Educational Committee's report. Is there any questions regarding that report by members of the board? And would you like to add anything to this report? Any more on that? Or is that as complete as we should expect? No, I don't hear anything from Ann. Ann is trying to say something, but okay, let's go ahead. Ann, you're going to have to get pulled up on video. Oh, now I can hear.
Oh, can you hear me now? Okay. I don't have anything to add, but I just want to thank everyone for the hard work and that we're working together. and then anybody is welcome to email me with any questions or comments about what we're doing in the Education Committee.
Very good. Very good. Thank you for that, Kevin said. Thank you. We do appreciate your work as well, you know, especially with the Department of Education, and it looks like they had a very good response. So that's excellent to get something like that from them. Very good. Okay, so if there's nothing else, then Anne, I think you can drop off. Is that it from Anne? I think she muted herself if she had something else to say. Did that do it? Not sure. Is that it? Oh, you don't have to exit from the meeting, but exit from the, not exit the meeting, no, but just exit your video, or just your video part. Well, okay, that's fine. Any of the comments for the Educational Committee's report? Okay, that's fine. If you, yeah, that's fine to just be muted. Yep. Okay, if there's no other comment, we'll go ahead and move on. Financial Committee's report. Any questions regarding the Finance Committee's report? Yes, I do have a question from Dave Dolly. Mr. President and board members, I was just looking at the minutes, and I'm reminded of just a courtesy for the chairperson. As an ex officio, and because of the treasurer's report, do they know that that's the habit, or that's the practice? We have a policy on that clarifies an ex officio's role. We can talk with Sam, the chair, and we'll talk to them about that. We both need to be in a meeting, because that will help minimize some of the misunderstandings. Dave is saying yes, yes. Any further discussion on the Financial Committee's report? Angela says, I'd like to make a motion. Yes, go ahead. My motion is to, oh, well, you have to address the president and the board, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. I even have a note to remind myself to do that, but I still keep forgetting to do it. See, it's right here, a sticky note. Well, at any rate, Mr. President and members of the board, I would like to make a motion to go ahead and approve the past perfect web version for a one-time fee of 1,000 so much. Do you want me to fill? Yeah, you have to tell us exactly what you want. $1,245. So it's an annual subscription fee for a total of $2,115. That's your motion? Yes. Okay. Does anyone want to second that to buy this? Yes, seconded by Dave Dolly. Question by, oh, Mark, I'm going to hold your question, but any further discussion on Angela's motion so far? Angela is saying, well, I think it's important to preserve deaf culture in the state of South Dakota, so it's worth doing that. I'd like to go ahead and proceed with that project. Okay, understood. Dave, did you have anything to say? I think it's time to get this thing done, and the museum has been waiting and waiting and waiting to finally make some progress here. So approving this will allow us to do that. Okay, Mark and then Patty. Mark is saying, I'm going to abstain because I'm actually on the committee, and so I won't be voting. So I will not vote on this particular issue. Okay, thank you for acknowledging that. We recognize that, and Mark has said that he will abstain from this particular vote. And now, Patty, your question. Yes, Mr. President, I do have a question regarding this expenditure, or software in particular. I see that there's a one-time initial fee And then there's an annual fee of $770 thereafter. Scott and several others, Mark and the rest of the committee members, let's just say that something happens and they quit submitting everything. Because right now, my understanding is this application or this software is put up in the cloud. Does that information eventually get lost? Who technically owns that information once it's in the cloud? Is it still ours? Is it our possession or what? How does that work? Mark, I know you're abstaining, but can you address that? Mark is saying, I'd rather have Scott address that because he's the one that's done all the research and so forth. And he's kind of the lead on that. I haven't done as much research myself into this software, so he knows a lot more about it than I do. Okay, Scott Miller, if you're with us, would you be able to make some comments? Oh, it's a web edition from what he's saying in the chat. Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and pull him up by video if we can. Okay, it looks like we're pulling Scott up on video. Here we go. Yes, go ahead. Can everyone see me? Yes, yes, we can. Yeah, I can't see myself, but I'll just go ahead and well, at any rate, I'll just go ahead and make these comments. What we're proposing is a web edition of the software, and it is kind of like an iCloud type thing. So all the committee members have been working, instead of using a software installation in a piece of hardware, there's more risk with that. And like Patty said, what happens in the future if computers crash or, what happens to that information? That's one of the reasons why we thought a web-based, iCloud-based type thing is more beneficial. It's very expensive, but I think in the long term, it's well worth it. This is Patty. I have another question, a follow-up question. Yes, go ahead, Patty. And then I believe Steve had a question. Patty? Well, I know that it's safer that way, so it's not on one particular computer, but let's say you, Scott, and Mark, and I'm talking about maybe 5-10 years down the line, you no longer are the administrators of this. I mean, you two are probably the most interested in this, but I'm just hoping that we can find people who will continue to be the administrator for this, and because who owns that? I mean, what happens when it's all up in the cloud like that? Steve, follow-up question, and then Angela. Mr. President, members of the board, this is Steve Janicic. Who is actually going to be doing the work of installing all the information or uploading it to the cloud? And do you have time to do that? Is there more than one person? Those kinds of things. This is Scott. Very good question, Steve. I'm happy to answer those. Again, I strongly feel, as computer literate as I am, that we want to do something web-based. It's going to be a lot easier for me to feed in information into the system and have someone else take over if need be, if I'm gone or if someone else wants to, take over being the administrator, that kind of thing. In the back of my mind, I know that there are several people who might be interested. There's Brian Burr, who's expressed interest. I know Tim Jackson has expressed interest. And I know there's several others who are very, very, interested in all of this. As the last resort, we can always have the museum, and a lot of museums have, some systems similar to this, that where if there's future people who want to know or do research, they have access to it, and they can look at our history and look at all the things that we've compiled. Again, I think it's a win-win situation by doing it this way. Did that answer your question, Steve? Kevin is saying, okay. Angela, you had a follow-up. Just a comment, Angela is saying, I know Patty's concerned about, if there's only 2 people that have admin rights, maybe we could share access with the president so that the president and the board always has information or access to that information, so that if something does happen to both Scott and Mark, then at least the president would still have access, or, one of the board itself would have access. Scott says, sure, that makes sense. That's right. Any further discussion? Patty has a follow-up. Go ahead, Patty. I support the concept of, or Mr. President, I'm sorry, and members of the board. I support the concept of everything being web-based like this, so don't get me wrong. But have you ever compared the costs? I mean, if we just gave over all of our resources to a company and they, scan it all in and uploaded it, is there additional cost for all of that? I mean, is that going to be something that is an additional cost? Scott is saying, I did some of this myself, and I know James still. I know that he did it for the Rushmore Beacon, and there was quite an expense for that because there was so much scanning. And he ended up paying for much of that out of his own pocket as a donation, and we thank him for that. But my goodness, a lot of that's already, prepared for us. But I think once it's there, it's always going to be there. You're always going to find a loop and make things better. But in the beginning, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of cost, a lot of work. But I know the Siouxland Museum said that, oh, this is definitely what you need to have. And from what they've seen and what I've seen, I mean, and from what I understand, it's so simple, so much easier to use, and it takes up so much less space in the cloud once it's all uploaded. Any further questions from Kevin is saying? No further questions or discussion? All right, thank you, Scott. I appreciate your comments. Yes, thank you, Mr. President. All right, it looks as if Scott is now no longer on video. Any member or any board members want to have further discussion before we move ahead on anything? Okay. Okay, having heard none, then we'll go ahead and close the discussion. And we still have the motion on the floor, which is Angela's motion that we approve the recommendation from the committee to purchase Past Perfect for a one-time setup fee of $1,245 and an annual subscription fee at $870 per year. So a total of $2,115 for the first year. All in favor, raise your hands by saying aye. Looks like all unanimous except the one abstaining vote. So no opposition. This motion is considered passed or carried. All right. Question for clarification from Patty. Yes, go ahead. Mr. President and members of the board, you said the annual fee was $870. Do we have to continually re-enlist, or is it just a one-time thing that you join and they just automatically bill you annually? And I think it's just they bill you annually unless you quit or unless you. This is Dave. I think in the first year it's 2,000 something, but by the second year it's 870, and every year after that for subscription costs. Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, that aside, there is one more other action item for the Finance Committee. Does anyone have anything to say before we get into that? Before we get into new business? Yeah, this is the 10,000 SDAD conference issue, $10,000 issue. Okay. All right. Well, let's go. Oh, question from Dave Daly. Yes, go ahead. I would like to make a motion. Oh, we're not. You have to address the president. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. President and members of the board. I would like to make a motion that we take $10,000 from the 2021 or for the 2021 SDD. Oh, you're saying the general fund. Yes, take it from the general fund and specifically set it, earmark it for the 2021 SDAD conference. Seconded by Mark. Okay. Any further discussion? Dave, do you have anything to add to that? No, it's self-explanatory. Okay, Mark, any other further suggestion since you seconded? No, I think it is something that we're going to have to do. We're going to need to do it in order to plan for our next convention. So that's all good. Angela, comment? Yes. I'm on the committee. Oh, address the president, please. Oh, yes, Mr. President and members of the board. Just wanted to mention the fact that I withdraw from any discussion since I'm on the planning committee for the convention or the conference. All right, so she's going to abstain from any discussion or this is Patty. I have it, Mr. President, this is Patty. I think people who are on the committee should be able to have participation in the discussion and not allow them to discuss. I mean, maybe it's abstaining from voting, but they should at least be a part of the discussion. So I want to clarify that. Okay, Kevin is saying I'm going to clarify this. And committee members, you can have a discussion, but you just won't be able to vote. So she's abstaining from not just or not the discussion, but from the voting. Angela and Patty both. They're going to abstain from the vote, but they still will participate in any discussion regarding this issue. Okay, so any further discussion on that or on the motion? Okay, any further discussion from any of the other board members on this issue? Okay, having heard none then, we'll go ahead and call for a vote on this motion. And that is Dave's motion to take $10,000 from the general fund and earmark it specifically for the 2021 SDAD convention. All in favor, raise your hands by saying aye. Okay, and 2 abstaining from the vote. No opposition, motion is carried. All right, so moving on, let's talk about the governance committee's report. Any questions on the governance committee's report? Tom, do you want to add anything? Okay, from the governance committee. Okay, very good, very good. All right, having heard none, let's talk about any comments from the general membership. Any questions about the governance committee's report? Okay, if having heard none, then we'll go ahead and close that issue. Let's talk about the Hall of Fame committee. Any questions regarding their report? Mark is raising his hand. Yes, go ahead, Mark. I do have a question, but okay. Oh, you have to greet the president, please. The president is saying. What's that? I said you have to address the president. Oh, darn it. I keep forgetting. I'm getting old. I'm an old fart. Just a plain old fart. All right. Mr. President and members of the board, this is Mark. I do have a question. I received an email in regards to the Hall of Fame nominations. And right now, as of this morning, this Saturday morning, we went through some things and tried to figure out deadlines and so forth as to when things might need to be submitted. I mean, how soon do we want this and those kinds of things. So we will look through that, and I guess that's the question is, how soon do we think we want to have all of this done? And Scott Miller is typing, he's saying he's suggesting October 1st to be the deadline for the Hall of Fame nominations. It says it in the email, Scott says, that went out earlier today. Oh, okay, it does say that. All right, well, thank you then, Mark said. Thank you for clarification. Thank you, Scott, for your response to Mark's question. Any other questions regarding this issue, the Hall of Fame and the Hall of Fame nominations? All right, members of the board, any questions? Any questions from the general membership? Having heard none, okay, Mark is raising his hand. Oh, Mark Johnson, another one. Yes, I have another question. And don't forget the greetings. Yes. The greetings, don't forget to Mr. President and a member and my friends on the board. Okay. I have another question. When we serve on the Hall of Fame committee, and maybe we've served on numerous occasions, and last summer I received an award, and that was very nice. And I know there was a lot of people that weren't comfortable with nominating someone who was actually on the planning committee, like for my situation. So for my role as a past committee member, as well as being a recipient of the award, is there a way to help with that process without it becoming maybe a conflict? I mean, some people just don't know how to find information. They don't know how to do what they need to. There's only a few of us that are so familiar with the process and how to go through, how to find names and backgrounds and achievements and documenting records and so forth. So my question is, like me as a former recipient, as well as being a former committee member, again, it was a very big honor for me to do that, but my role was questioned. And so now that I'm on the board, I mean, can a board member be nominated? And is that questionable? I mean, how do we deal with that kind of thing? This is Kevin. There should not be a conflict of interest, whether you're on the board or a committee of the Hall of Fame committee. I don't believe there's a conflict. The only time it becomes a conflict is if the president, like if I'm the president, and I've been on the Hall of Fame committee for many years now as president, I may need to step down from being the president or the lead of that committee. And if you're interested, you could ask Scott, because Scott wants to serve on that committee and he can help with that process, for example. And that would help eliminate any potential conflict. This is Angela. I think this is wonderful if you want to help and collect information to make it as less of a conflict as possible, make it as neutral as possible. And that way they have the kind of information they need in order to complete the nomination and maybe even be selected as a Hall of Fame recipient. And I know there's also a need for an ASL video that we ask for. And whatever information people can send us, if they can send us something in video, we can certainly use that as well as part of our consideration. But, we just ask that, if you're feeling more comfortable to sign everything, we certainly welcome video and not just written documentation, that kind of thing. That's never a conflict. Patty, yes. Well, this is Patty. Mark, just as an idea, if you're sitting on the board, when you go out, your job as a board member is done, and you can do anything you want. There shouldn't be. You can serve on other committees. You can help other committees. You can help other recipients or nominees. So there shouldn't be a conflict. I mean, that's just something we want to share with you. I'm happy that you were able to volunteer and get things done for some of the other recipients, and you should be able to do that. This is Mark. Well, as for the president, the reason why I even bring this up is because I know several months ago, 3-4 months ago, I made some comments and they said, yeah, but you had no right to, be a recipient and still be on that, committee or even help other people. And I said, well, I'm a researcher and I'm happy to do research for other people to help them be nominees, and we need to be able to help other people as needed. And they said, no, you shouldn't be involved with that. It's too much of a conflict and that kind of thing. And so I know of 3 or 4 people that feel that way, but I just want to, even if I wanted to nominate someone myself, oftentimes they feel like, well, how do you find research and how do you get involved? Even though I'm on the planning committee as well. So now there's a conflict. If I'm trying to help someone get nominated and I'm also on the planning committee, I can see where, people might feel like, there's a conflict there. I mean, then I'm kind of biased towards one of them, or at least it looks like I'm biased. So I'm kind of conflicted by that. I'm not sure. Patty, a comment? Well, Mark, since you've served on the cultural committee, that's a plus because a lot of people can come to you and say, "Hey, I'd like some additional information on someone that might be a historical figure or someone who's involved with deaf history." Or there should be nothing wrong with that. I agree. So whether or not you're on the planning committee, just the fact that you're familiar with so much information and so much history, that should help. All right. Well, that makes me feel a little better, Mark is saying. I feel better about that. All right. Very, very good, Kevin said. Any further discussion? Let's go ahead and close the discussion on that. Let's talk about the Public Relations Committee. Any questions on their report from the Public Relations Committee? Okay. How about from the general membership? Scott Miller is adding a chat saying, maybe I'll just send in an email. Okay, yes, that's fine, Kevin said. All right, anything else? Patty is raising her hand. Okay, Patty, any comment? No. How about the technology committee report? Anything from the technology committee or about that committee? Oh, it looks like Stan is saying, Steve, you look like you're asleep. Are you awake? Well, he said yes, so you must be awake. Well, I'm just looking both at the comments on screen as well as my iPad. Okay, good. Getting back to the technology committee, any questions regarding their report? Patty is raising her hand. This is Patty. Yes. Mr. President and members of the board, just a reminder to all of the members and so forth, if you haven't done the DMV survey, please do so. I encourage you to fill that out. Encourage your friends to fill that out. You don't have to be a member to fill that survey out. It's open to everyone, so I encourage you to do that. All right, very good. Let's see, anything else from anyone else? Any questions, comments? No? How about from the general membership? Scott Miller is asking how many have responded to the survey so far. How many do we have so far then? Does anyone know? Angela, can you answer that? Do you want me, am I permitted to answer that? Yeah, just give us a number if you know it. Well, I believe as of yesterday or the day before, from what I saw, we had 51 respondents, 51 people who have responded. But with the understanding that, oh, Kevin is talking to someone offline. Okay, clarification, Tom Kober has just recommended holding information until after the deadline. So just hold any further information, the number, because the numbers who have responded may, impact or have influence on the survey. So let's just wait. And I think the deadline is what, July 31st, I want to say. So yeah, we're still accepting more people, more respondents. So, that was an old number. So from a couple of days ago. So Scott Miller says the reason why I'm asking so that we can resend out, reminders for people to fill this out. Scott Miller is saying, are you suggesting that we send out a reminder to people? Tom is saying that's a possibility, and you can certainly make that recommendation. It looks like Scott is making that recommendation, so thank you, Scott. And we send out reminders about the survey. Any other questions from membership on this? Deb Kuglich is saying that she can just post it right onto Facebook and Instagram if need be. So thank you for that suggestion, Deb. Any other comments or questions from the general membership? No? Okay. Moving on, the 2021 SDAD Conference Committee report. Any questions on that report? Anyone? Having heard none, then let's open it up to the membership. Oh, Patty is raising her hand. On behalf of the conference committee, I'd like to thank the board for your support in giving us that $10,000 earmarked for this event. That's definitely going to help us in our planning efforts. Very good, very good. Any further comments or from anyone? Okay, all right, general membership. Any questions from anyone there? Okay, having heard none. Very good. Thanks, Teresa, for that. Thank you, Teresa. And let's move on to the special committee's report for the video sign project. Any questions on that report? This is Patty. Oh, yes, go ahead, Patty. Mr. President, the latest update is that the Office of the Secretary of the State is supposed to be in contact with me this week, but I have not heard from them. But there is an expressed interest in doing something with this. So we're hopeful that this signed video project will happen. Maybe South Dakota will be one of the first in the nation. We're keeping our fingers crossed. Okay, very good, very good. Patty is saying also the NCIL conference has talked a little bit about communication access or accessible election polls and so forth. People for most of it pertains to people in wheelchair, not so much people in video. And so we haven't seen a lot on video for people who are deaf and hard of hearing yet, but we're very concerned with people, all people with disabilities having access to elections and polling sites, especially with the COVID-19 business. Okay, any further questions or comments from Kevin? Kevin is saying, let's open it up to the membership. Any comments from the general membership? Okay, if having heard none, let's go ahead and close all of the committee reports. Kevin is saying. The next thing on the agenda item is unfinished business. Do we have any reoccurring or unfinished business? No, no, having heard none. Let's put that aside then. Let's move on to new business. Anything that needs to be addressed there? This is Angela raising my hand. Yes, go ahead, Angela. Mr. President and members of the board, I finally got it right. I said it the first time. At any rate, I'm not sure what the process is for this, but what I'd like to do is mention something about during your committee report, or maybe more so during new business, the distribution of masks to the deaf community. We mentioned that. I would like to make a motion that we definitely look into ordering or obtaining these clear masks and give them to members of SDAD. Well, I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. You want SDAD to actually purchase and distribute these clear masks to members of the deaf community? Is that your motion? Yes, yes, it is, Angela said. Okay, seconded? Seconded by Patty, Mark, and Steve. Let's recognize Steve. Steve, he's seconded this. Okay, Steve Janisic. All right. Go ahead. So it was seconded, Mark said? Yes, yes. We've recognized Steve as the second. Are you opening it up for discussion? Is the chat covering my face? No, I've been able to move it a little bit, Mark says, so it's not as distracting. I wanted to keep it off to the side. It used to be chats were on the side, but now it's on the bottom. I don't know why they changed that because I missed the old way of doing it. But anyway, sorry, Mr. President, members and friends. This is Mark Johnson. Is this open discussion? No, no, not yet, not yet. We'll recognize you in just a minute, Mark. But Patty, did you get everything recorded as the secretary? And Angela, you have the honor of having the first discussion rights on this issue. Angela says, well, kind of a strange story. I was down with the Arizona Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing and understood that they had given to the deaf community and distributed to the deaf community all these masks, which was very impressive. Yesterday morning, David was an interpreter in the community, and we've had these discussions about clear masks and how do we get those? Where do you find them? Do you do those face shields? Those aren't comfortable. We've ordered a face shield, but my head was too small and it didn't fit right. And David said that the face mask is actually pretty loose when he interprets, and it's frustrating. So it's not ideal. And so we thought, well, someone mentioned something about these clear masks. And they have white on the top and white on the bottom, but the middle part is all clear, so you can see their mouths. So we thought about getting a box of them. And then later in the afternoon, David came up and he was laughing and he said, hey, look at this. He had 2 clear masks. And I said, wow, where'd you find these? The Nebraska Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing sent them out to all of the interpreters who were licensed in the state, in Nebraska at least, and they provided them to them. So I'm thinking that our organization, SDAD, should consider giving these out to maybe the SDAD members, like Arizona did, or maybe make an amendment to even add it to all of the interpreters in the state, or to the state of South Dakota to distribute to South Dakota who, interpreters who are licensed in this state. And that way, all of us have it, because when I go to an interpreted assignment, so far it's all been, fully masked, and you can't see them, and you can't read their lips, and you can't see their facial expressions, which makes signing a little bit more challenging. And I'm kind of nervous about, something bad happening. I know with this one little girl, she couldn't hardly breathe that well. And then you put this mask on and it made it more difficult. But my fear for trying to understand an interpreter, I think is very well founded, and it just compounds the communication issue. So I almost think that if we could make this happen and provide it to all of our deaf community members in the state so that they could, and then have interpreters get it too, that might be very ideal and might make things much more accessible to communication. So that's my comments. Okay, very good. Now, Steve, you had seconded it. So did you have any comments? Yeah, I think Angela said it well. Okay, very good. Any other comments? Dave, Mark. So Dave, go ahead. Well, Dave is saying, I know myself, I've had some frustrations with masks, and I need to, read lips too. I listen, and then I, depend on lip reading. So it's been very frustrated for me. So I think we should be able to, make these available, these clear masks, not just to the deaf people, but even to members of the public that work with us, that kind of thing. Mark Johnson, your comment. Well, as of yesterday and as of this morning, I had a war with the Dakota News Now. They posted something on Facebook letting people know that USD has these really fancy masks. They're really fancy, and they have the name and the logo and so forth. And my question was, is the state paying for that? Because if USD is under the Board of Regents, I mean, as a state entity, basically, the people who ordered it said, no, these were students that had money left over from last semester that they used, and that was matched. And so it wasn't coming from the state, but the state had, I know Governor Noem had gotten a lot of these PBEs, a surplus, and so they even received funds from the federal government for PPEs, and because of all of this COVID, and it's supposed to be specific for COVID related things. But so far, Noem I don't think she's been using that money for masks and PPE. She's using it for more PR, public announcements about this whole thing. And so my question is why is the state getting federal funds and then using these funds or wasting these funds on things that they weren't intended for? So I feel Angela is right. We need to contact the state and find out that if they have money and funding, how are they spending that specifically? And if it's possible to use some of that to fund these kinds of masks. I mean, they've gotten money from the feds, and I think they should have equal access by providing these kinds of PPE, making things accessible to all members of the community, and support, not just certain segments of the population, but not to overlook the deaf and hard of hearing segment of the population. All people who want clear masks should be able to get them from the state, since a lot of those funds came from the feds in the first place to support PPE. So, I mean, we kind of had this going back and forth thing this morning with Dakota News, but I had to stop because of this meeting, so I put them on hold. But very good. Kevin says, Patty, did you have an additional comment? Well, Mr. President, I'd like to make an amendment that, how do I say this? SDAD, well, first that SDAD send a letter requesting the state to see if they can fund some of these things, clear masks specifically for deaf and hard of hearing consumers. And if they say no, that's not possible, then, oh, wait. No, you don't want to make it too contingent on this or that. Just make it real simple. Okay, my amendment is that SDAD send a letter to the Department of Human Services, Office of the Governor, Department of Human Services, to see if they can provide at no cost clear masks to those who want them. Anyone second that amendment? Anyone? Angela said, can I second it? There's no one who seconded it. Steve is saying I second it. Mark is saying, wait a second, I have a question. Mr. Wait. Steve, did you actually second it? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Okay, then we can't accept your second because it was duplicated by. Wait. Mark, don't ask your question first unless it was. Who else seconded it? Did we have 2 seconds? Angela said she wanted a second. Angela said you can't do that. No, Angela, you can't. But anyone else want to second that? The amendment? Steve is saying, you seconded the main. You can't also second the amendment. Oh, I see. That's what you mean. Okay, anyone else? Okay, so the amendment dies. The amendment dies because we couldn't find someone who was qualified to second it. Any further discussion on the original amendment that Angela made? Mark Johnson, do you want to say your comment now? Well, I just wanted to say that to Patty that we could make it more clear for her amendment, but if it's not, I think it needs to be worded just right, for that amendment. If it was clear, I might second that, but just saying a plain letter to the DHS, we're constantly going after the DHS asking, so that's why I'm not sure, if they're going to spend money, is it worth prioritizing it on this versus anything else? I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know. Patty, did you want to say something in response to that? Well, I just still want, since my amendment was not approved, I still pass Angela's original amendment or original proposal that we have clear masks given to members of SDAD specifically, and as perks, a membership perk, I guess, to emphasize that. Okay, so now go back to Angela. You wanted to say something? Well, I need to mention the fact that David was telling me that Casey with ISI, Casey is now talking with Julie about ordering masks and having them sent out to all interpreters. So this may be something that Julie is already working on in the Department of Human Services. They might be taking care of that for interpreters. So we don't necessarily have to cover it with interpreters. Just wanted to share that with you. Okay, very good, very good. Yes, Patty, go ahead. Well, can I make a different amendment? Oh, yeah, you can make a different amendment if you want. Okay, Mr. President and others, I would like to make an amendment that SDAD can sell clear masks to those who are non-members of our organization if they're interested in obtaining them. If they would like to have clear masks, we can sell them. No, I'm not sure if I follow you, Kevin is saying no. You want SDAD to actually sell these to non-members of SDAD and SDAD members get it for free, or, well, let me say it this way. I make an amendment that SDAD will sell these clear masks to anyone who's not a member of SDAD for as much as $5, and maybe use this as a fundraiser for SDAD. Okay, so is that seconded, this amendment? No one is seconding. Okay, so that second amendment dies. Okay. Dave, did you have a point of clarification? Yeah, I'd like to ask something. Okay, let's hold on questions. Let's make sure before we open it up to members. Yes, we won't forget the members. We'll let them provide feedback. Anything else from the board members? Any further discussion? Okay, if not, we open it up for the membership. Any feedback or comments from the general members? Okay, Tanya and Teresa. Teresa was first and Tanya was second. Okay, hello everyone, Mr. President, members of the board. This is Teresa Nold, and I'm excited that you're considering these clear masks. That's great. I know that the clearmasks.com is a place where you can obtain some of these things. They have the, the part on the top and the part on the bottom, but the middle is all clear. I know Angela's right with the shield. It just doesn't seem to be as ideal, so it's not perfect. But the way I see this, or my thought, is SDAD should ask DHS if there's, TRS funds that can be made available for the purchase of these, because the TRS fund does have surplus funds. And if we can make this possible, because SDAD could help distribute them, maybe for a fee or not, I guess it doesn't matter. But at the parks, drive-bys, we can hand them out to people who need them. With social distancing, we need to protect ourselves with that too. But I think it'd be great to do that. There's many of us or whatever that are frustrated with masks. We don't understand because we can't lip read or we don't understand what people are saying. Plus, we give them to maybe people who start to know who SDAD is. Okay. Okay. Thank you for that comment. Any comments for Teresa? Mark Johnson, yes, go ahead. Well, just to respond to what Teresa said and others, I feel like these clear masks should be made available to everyone and not just certain ones, because like David Dolly said, he works with a lot of hearing people, and these hearing people use masks, and maybe Steve, for example, he works with hearing people too. And why are we limiting the clear mask just to ourselves, as deaf people, when deaf people are still going to be stuck because they're not able to communicate with others, including hearing people who may not have these clear masks. And it would be just as advantageous for them to have it. So that's why I'm kind of wrestling with this whole thing. I think it's something that should be distributed to everyone, anyone who may have a need, whether it's a hearing person that works with deaf people or that provides services to deaf people, or that is working in relations to deaf people in some way, make it available to them too. Why just make it available to just deaf and hard of hearing people themselves? So that's why I'm kind of wrestling with this. I don't feel like SDAD should just be limiting to just one area of the population. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I mean, there are hearing people out there that, uh, do a lot of things in their daily lives that affect deaf people and work with deaf people, and when that happens, we should be providing them with enhanced, communication or accessible systems like clear masks. I don't know. That's where I'm coming from. That's how I feel about it right now. Okay, Teresa, follow up. Yes, Mr. President and board, I think that's right, Mark. If SDAD were to get a supply of these, we would give it to anyone who needs them. May it be hard of hearing people. And there are a lot of hard of hearing people too that might benefit from these, or professionals that work with them, and whoever would like to have some of these. I mean, if it's beneficial to see their facial expression, then they deserve to have these. I mean, and this would be a good way of getting out our name, our brand, so that people know what SDAD does and who we're all about and what kinds of things we do. And it's about, access. And it's not just allowing deaf and hard of hearing people to have these, because from deaf to deaf, that's one thing, but it defeats the purpose of providing access to the hearing world too. So I think you're right. That's my take on it. All right, Angela, did you have something you wanted to add to that? Angela? Well, I wanted to respond to Mark Johnson's comments. Okay, go ahead. Mark, okay. Thank you, Teresa, by the way. Yes, go ahead, Angela. You want me to say something? Wait, just a second. Okay. I think Patty had raised her hand first, and then we'll go back to Angela to respond to what Mark Johnson said. Okay, so Patty or Angela, if you're not going to say anything, Patty, then we'll just go straight to you, Angela. Angela is saying, well, I don't know if SDAD is able to just make widely available to everyone. I mean, like David Daly, if he has a specific company that he works with or coworkers at his company, then it's the company's responsibility to provide masks that make things accessible for David as one of their employees. So they need to be requested, because these masks generally cost, I think at cost, if we went ahead and did the clear masks, or maybe we could find some other options out there. But the one that I know of, clear mask at cost is like $279 for every mask. And so making it available, I know Tanya talked about, there are other masks, and those are like one-time use, because they're not washable, I don't think, or as washable. So you might have to throw them away after just one use. And businesses need to be responsible for providing access on their own. And so I just wanted to make that comment. Okay, going back to Patty, go ahead. Patty is saying, I agree. I think that's probably true with what Angela said. It's an employer's responsibility to provide access like this and to provide equipment, PPE, to including deaf and hard of hearing employees. Now for DHS, they typically, and I know their attitude has been that for interpreting services, they have it's their responsibility. It's just like, making they're responsible. Interpreters buy this for themselves as part of their job. I mean, making communication access possible. I don't want to use public funds, TRS money, just to provide something to the general population, the general public. I mean, if it's specific to the deaf and hard of hearing people only, I think that makes sense, because they've rated this fund for general purposes, all these years anyway. Last year we lost $250,000, but I want to make sure that, it's specific to deaf and hard of hearing people. Some of these funds that we've collected for deaf and hard of hearing communication needs are being used for, general fund purposes, and I don't want to do that. It's not for the general population. We could quickly deplete these funds if we did that. It should be specifically for deaf and hard of hearing. And my original, support for Angela's suggestion was making it available as a perk for SDAD members. Okay, Mark, you wanted to say something. Well, I think the onus should be put on the state and DHS to make some of that. And I do agree with what some of those comments were, but how often do they really advocate for deaf and hard of hearing people by enforcing the concept of providing equal opportunity, equal access? How often do they do this? And that's the kind of thing that I wrestle with too. I mean, one of the ways that we want to just really address this in our world is that, we're not saying just give this Harry Carry to anyone and everyone, but if you happen to work with deaf people and you think it could help make communication more accessible, then yes, go ahead and take some of these masks, and we do it that way. And that's one way of how I believe that we can make a difference, and we can maybe even go so far as to expand our world and expand our horizons, instead of just limiting it to just deaf and hard of hearing people and no one else but them. When are we ever going to expand to the point where it is more accessible on both sides? I feel it's time, and I think that we've been working in cooperation with, for example, David Dolly in his situation. Give it to his area, people that he works with. Maybe there's several, 3-4 people, I don't know, that he works with, and maybe with Steve, give him a few extra masks for the people that he works with, and make it selective, and then we start to expand our group, our horizons, I guess. Okay, Patty, you want to respond to that? Well, since we brought this up, the state could purchase masks, maybe a case that come. There's 24 that come in a small box. I don't know how many boxes come in a case, but it's about $1,199 plus tax for a whole case. And I'm not saying that we Harry Carry just give it out, but that we be very cognizant of who gets these, maybe a couple a piece, because we could quickly run through a whole case, I'm sure, but we'll have to be careful how we go through these, distribute these. Steve, I checked my iPad for these masks, and it says a case includes 432 masks. Most of them are 24 in a pack. So 1,200 divided by that is $2.77, which is very close to what Angela said. So that's what I came up with in terms of numbers. Very good. Kevin says, so if we pass this, we might refer this over to the Finance Committee. All right. Yes, go ahead, Angela. Another comment? Well, I just realized that my motion, or President and members of the board, sorry, I realized that my motion specifically said the clear masks. And I don't know how Patty wrote that, but Tanya mentioned to me that in her comments that I don't want to do a video, but I do suggest that we do a research, do some more research on this to see what kind of masks, what kind of shields might be the best type. Some type of clear mask should be is it one-time use, or is it something that can have multiple uses? We need to research this and confirm what the best options might be, and then ask DHS to fund a lot of this. And then we don't know what the cost is because we don't know exactly what kind of mask is best. And I think that's where she's coming from. And that's where her comments came in. I feel her comments are very valid. And so we just wanted to mention that and make sure that my motion isn't just specific to one product, or one particular brand of product. We want to make sure that whatever we're doing it's some type of clear mask that people would have, access to. All right. Wait. Kevin says, wait. We've already made the motion. Maybe you kill it and just make a new motion. Maybe that'd be the easiest way to do it. Oh, you want me to do that? Right? Just kill it. Tom and I are in agreement. Parliamentary procedure says if you're going to keep amending it or changing it, the best thing is just to kill it and then make a new motion if you want to consider that. Patty, comment? Well, I just wanted to make an amendment to kill the motion. How about that? Oh, okay. Wait a second now. Let me ask. You don't need an amendment to kill something, do you? I'm going to check with Tom. Right. Okay. So according to parliamentary procedure, you don't need to amend something to kill it. Just don't vote for it. Don't vote to pass it. See, that's how you kill it. All right. Now, wait a second. Just to double check here and make sure. Kevin is saying. Ben says you can withdraw a motion. You can't withdraw once it's been seconded though, can you? Yeah, after it's seconded, you have to call for a vote. Okay, yeah, technically we have to call for a vote. You can't withdraw it now. It's too late to withdraw. So any further discussion on this before we call for a vote? No? All right, let's close the discussion on this particular motion. Call for a vote on Angela's original motion that SDAD purchase clear masks and distribute them to all members of SDAD as a perk, and just to members of SDAD. That was the motion. Let's call for a vote. All in favor? We have one vote from Steve. All opposed? Any opposed? We have four in opposition. So the motion dies. Okay, it's not passed. The motion does not pass. Now, Angela is saying, should I make a new one? Yes, go ahead. All right, Mr. President and members of the board, Angela is saying. All right, friends, as someone said, yes. I would like to make a motion that SDAD, how do we want to phrase this? That SDAD, someone want to help me? Patty says we could establish a committee. I make a motion that SDAD establish a committee to look into the issue of masks and making some kind of clear mask product, or, well, no, wait a second. I don't know how I want to say this. I want to make sure that Kevin is saying you want to establish a committee to further research. No. You're not making a motion? You dropped the motion? Does anyone else want to make a motion? Kevin is saying. No one's out. No one else is willing to make a motion? Yeah, Tanya is just saying refer to the technology committee to further explore. All right, so Patty is saying I make the motion that SDAD establish a committee to explore and research different kinds of clear, accessible PPE or masks that will explore, masks like this to make some recommendations back to the full board. How about that? All right, does that make sense? No? Yes? Okay, so the motion on the floor is, well, first it has to be seconded. Anyone else want to second that? Anyone want to second that? Angela says, I might second that. Mark, did you want to? Mark's saying, I'm lost. No, wait a second. Yeah, all these different changes and all these different discussions, I'm lost. I don't know where we're at. Okay, this is Kevin. Patty made the motion that, we research this, explore it, and someone needs to just second that. It hasn't been seconded, has it? Angela said, well, I could second it. I'll second it. Okay, it is seconded. Angela seconded? Okay, so now it's seconded. Okay, Angela seconded it. All right, so let's make sure we know what the motion is. Patty said her motion is that SDAD establish a committee to further explore and research different kinds of masks, clear masks, and make recommendations back to the board. Patty said yes. Is that right? Now Ben is, oh, wait a second. Now, Patty has the right to have first discussion or first comment. Well, Patty is saying, I think that makes sense to have a committee research it and explore it so they can make, the best product recommendation. And because there's a lot of them out there on the marketplace. There's different clear masks out there, and all of them cost different amounts and that kind of thing. So I just have a group, make recommendations. All right, let's go back to Angela. You seconded it, so you have the next right to make a comment. No further comment. Okay, next, Mark, you had a question or a comment. This is Mark. I suggest that we refer this to the Communications and Technology Committee. Why create a second committee? Because, they can look into these kinds of things, and we already have a committee in place to do that kind of thing. So just refer it to them, and they can take care of that same thing. Okay, but the motion is, you want to make an amendment just to refer it to that particular committee? Yes, I will make an amendment to refer it specifically to that committee. All right, I do make an amendment, a friendly amendment to refer this recent recommendation to both the Communications and the Technology Committee. No, we don't have a Communications and Technology Committee. It's just a Technology Committee. So just refer to that one, Kevin is saying, for clarification. We don't have a Communications one? Oh, just the Technology one then, Mark said. Then that's fine. We'll just refer to that one. You want to rephrase your friendly amendment? Yes, I make an amendment to refer this, the previous motion to the Technology Committee, period. Seconded by Dave Dolly. Okay, Dave Dolly has seconded that friendly motion or amendment, I mean, and any further discussion on the amendment to refer this to the Technology Committee? Mark, do you have any further discussion since you're the one that amended it? No, I as far as I'm concerned, it's already been referred. Right, refer to the Technology Committee, no further discussion. Okay, no further discussion. Oh, we're getting a suggestion from Teresa Knoll. No. Refer it to the Technology Committee. No further discussion. Let's call for a vote. This is a friendly amendment to the original motion. So voting on the amendment that we were just refer this whole issue over to the Technology Committee. All in favor, raise your hands. It looks like it's almost unanimous. Any opposition? No. Okay, this motion is passed. The friendly amendment to the motion. Patty's original motion that SDAD establish a committee to research and explore different kinds of masks and PPE and to make recommendations to the full board. Now that's been referred to specifically the Technology Committee to do. All right. So there's no further discussion on that. And we're going to vote on the motion all together. All in favor? It looks like everyone has voted. Any opposition? Opposed? Having heard none, this has been passed and referred to the Technology Committee. All right, thank you. Sunny, question. Let's close new business, Sunny says. Okay, any opposed to closing the new business on the agenda? Having heard none, we will close the new business on the agenda. And Patty is asking for clarification. Kevin says, all right, can we call for a meeting adjournment at 3:17? Yes. All right. Meeting is considered adjourned. Announcements. Any further announcements? Dave has an additional comment, and a friend just recently sent me something on text. Regis Philbin has just died. Oh, Regis Philbin has just died at age 88. Oh, too bad. Sorry about that. And Mark, you had a comment? Mark is saying, I do have a question. I'm a bit frustrated with the technology regarding Zoom because it blocks, Kevin, or blocks people the way this text pops up. Whoever's typing, it pops up, and then I can't see what they're signing. So help me with this, please. How can I click something to join audio and that kind of thing? So let's get rid of that and make this a little easier so that it doesn't become so distracting. It doesn't cover Kevin's face or his body when he's trying to sign something with all these texts. I don't like that. Or can we move the text to a different part of the screen? I've been very frustrated by this. It's not your fault, or it's not the board, it's not something that you did. It's just the technology. That's my thing. I just don't like this business of being covered up and then I can't see is the thing. And so I miss, the practice of how we were able to resolve these things and make it easier. I just feel like, what all of these people have to say is important to all of us. And so why have these distractions when people are covered up by these texts? I'd rather not have that. And then it goes away and it pops up and it goes away and it pops up, and then it's very distracting. I know before in the past when we had Zoom, it was over on the side or on the corner and it stayed there. It didn't pop up everywhere else and in front of the people who were signing it or saying it. And I am frustrated by that. I wish we could go back to the old way. That's all I wanted to say. Just a comment, and if anyone can help me in the future, maybe my video phone or whatever it is, maybe I would appreciate that. So thank you. All right, very good, Kevin said, very good. And Patty, you had a comment? Yes, go ahead. You're saying video. Someone wanted to. Oh, Scott Miller is asking to join by video. Let's pull Scott up. Go ahead. Yeah, click your video. Oh, now it looks like Tim Nold is saying something. Hello, Mr. President, members of the board. I just wanted to let you know that with Zoom, I think Zoom is a nice app, and you can see everyone on video, which is also nice. And you can see people who are on attendance, but now you're looking at this one, I don't see who's on attendance. That used to be a feature that you could see all the members on attendance listed off to the side. And I don't see that now. So I don't know if this is a different Zoom application, or did that get turned off, that feature or something? Because we should have access to that. It doesn't show attendees like I've seen in other Zoom meetings. So it just says, the people who are on screen, and then who's adding a chat. But I don't see attendees, and that's disappointing. I'd like to be able to see how many people are there, how many people are, that kind of thing, just the members who are participating. Good comment. And Sunny, you wanted to say something? Well, this is something that Zoom has as part of its functions or features. This isn't something that we've turned on or turned off. Oh, you didn't do that yourself? No. I thought it was something that you could do, and you could say, these are the attendees for the benefit of the members. But I just noticed it before, and well, maybe we should find out before the meeting who's all. We can't do it during the meeting, and then it has to be well, yeah, after the meeting. Just let us know how many people, because some of the people left the meeting. I'd like to know that, and some of the people joined late, and so I don't know, stats and numbers and names, all of that's kind of nice to have access to. You want us to go through all of that? Well, yeah, it's up to you if you can, because I like to know who came in late and who left early and that kind of thing. Angela, you had a comment? Okay. Say, Sunny, just to let you know, when you set up a Zoom meeting or a webinar, there are features and permissions that you can actually turn on and turn off. I don't think you can do it during the meeting once it's started. It has to be as you create the meeting, those settings. So there are certain features that you can turn on and turn off, and maybe that's something that you need to look at. Just a comment. All right, thank you for that, Angela. This is Kevin. At the next board meeting, we'll try to make sure some of those features are turned on, and that way everyone will have the benefit of seeing that, including those in the audience. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to do another meeting in Zoom, or maybe the next one will be in person. We don't know that yet, but just to answer Tim's question, Patty says how many people participated. It was a total of 20 people today, 20 people, which is pretty good. This is all new technology, new faces, and so that's nice to be able to see that, Patty said. All right, any other questions, any other comments from you, Tim Nold? Well, thank you for your comments. We appreciate them. Yes, everyone have a good weekend. Thank you. Yeah, love you all. Okay. Bye-bye, Tim. Bye-bye. All right. So Tim is now logging off. Aren't we ending the meeting anyway?